Hello, I'm Erin Spinagle here at Spring Mills High School. Join me today as we learn about some of the teachers here at the home of the Cardinals on this edition of Be the Difference, West Virginia. We're here in Tyler Butt's classroom. He is the VOAG teacher here at Spring Mills High School. Hello, Tyler. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. Tell me about yourself.
I'm 22 years old. I am local. I graduated from Musselman High School in 2009, so I know how agriculture is around this area. Shortly after graduation, I attended Shepherd University. I was there for a year and a half. I played soccer there, and I tore my ACL and my meniscus, so I transferred to WVU, and from there I received my bachelor's degree in agriculture and extension education.
What position did you play in soccer?
I was a center back.
Oh.
Had a lot of fun.
So what led you to decide to become a teacher?
When I was in high school, I missed out on a lot of opportunities, and for multiple reasons. But I didn't want my students to miss out on opportunities because there are a lot there, especially in high school. And you can learn a lot from different opportunities, both inside of class time and outside of class time. And with the FFA, you get a lot of opportunity to travel, and I just didn't want my kids to miss out on that.
So, you mentioned the FFA. What are some of the activities that you're doing with your students right now, or some of the things that you do in your classroom to teach them about VOAG?
One of our most recent activities was our very first fundraiser for the FFA. We made apple butter, which all the programs do, and we didn't really know how much to make. We didn't want to make way too much or way too less, so we did a pre-order, and we ended up we peeled apples for 2 days. We peeled 4 entire bins of apples. Then we cooked for 2 days, and we made about $4,000 for our program, which was a very good start. Kind of get us off the ground a little bit. So I was proud of my students for that.
Do you have any other upcoming activities?
Right now we're working on building a float for the Christmas parade. Yeah, we're going to have everybody in their jackets on the float and everything. So that's our next project, I suppose.
So how else is the FFA involved in the community?
A lot of the times, for example, just 2 weeks ago we went out to Dillon's Farm Museum in Hedgesville, and we helped them with they had a weekend festival, and we helped them press cider, we helped their blacksmith out some, whatever was needed, help them set up and clean up and everything. So, we're out in the community letting our kids get community service hours and talking with people in the community, and again, being outside of school, a lot of learning experiences.
In this era of education, we hear a lot about math instruction, science instruction, increasing test scores. So what is the role of promoting or making sure that we include VOAG education in our schools?
Well, agriculture has always included science. It's not something that's new. Those two subjects, math and science, are very important, especially for test scores and things like that. But like animal science and vet science and plant science, that's something that we have always covered in agriculture. Math, not so much, but we have since, kind of critiqued our curriculum and our CSOs to include math. So, for example, in our mechanics classes, we're developing blueprints, which of course include measuring and angles and scaling and things like that. And then we're taking those blueprints and we're developing materials and a bill of materials. So we're looking at prices, and then we're getting into budgeting and seeing where we can make cuts to make things more affordable. Additionally, with the math, all of my students in my classes are required to keep a record book, which is essentially a record on, most of the time, a fair animal or something of that nature. But again, they're keeping records on a budget, like income, expenses, all kinds of stuff. So the math has been increasing in agriculture education.
You're a first-year teacher. Tell me about some of the joys, maybe even some of the challenges that come along with being new in the profession.
Well, I knew when I first started college that this school was going to be opening, and it was always my dream to, get this job, and I got fortunate enough to fall into this position. At the beginning, I was very, very excited, and then when school started, of course, in this new facility, very overwhelming, very stressful. The first few weeks, I was like, what am I doing here? Since then, I have fell in love with my job. I'm kind of in a groove. Everything's comfortable now. The students know my expectations for them, and everything just kind of flows. It's perfect.
So what's one thing you wish the public understood about teaching or the education profession in general?
One thing I think that the public doesn't see all the time is teaching is more from 7 in the morning till 3 in the evening. There's a lot of time that goes in after hours, especially with FFA. Of course, I'm training kids for teams for different contests like public speaking and prepared speaking and extemporaneous speaking, job interview, resume building. There's all kinds of contests, and I don't think they see that effort that goes out even after the final bell rings. You know, when we start training for teams, I'll be here till 6, 7, sometimes 8 o'clock at night, and the only people that are seeing that are the students' parents who are picking them up, not everybody. So, and that's in every subject, not just mine. There's a lot of work behind the scenes that goes on, and I think people need to realize that. Education is constantly changing. Nothing's ever the same. We can't use the same material year in and year out. We just have to adapt and go with the flow.
We're here in the Library Media Center of Spring Mills High School. This is Carol Hamilton, the Technology Integration Specialist here at Spring Mills High. Hi, Carol. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you? Good.
So tell me a little about yourself.
Well, I'm married. I've been married for almost 34 years. I have 2 grown children. One is doing her residency in Morgantown in radiology, and my son is at Carnegie Mellon. And I live here in Martinsburg with my husband. I actually grew up in Morgantown, but we moved here because of his family. So we have a lot of extended family here. I went to WVU first and got a business degree, actually, and then used it some for retail. But after I had children, I realized that that was not what I wanted. So I went back for an elementary education degree and a master's from WVU, and I'm national board certified. So that's my educational background. So I've enjoyed living here in Martinsburg and getting to know all the people here, but it's fun to go back to Morgantown for the football games and whatnot too.
So what are some of the things that you've enjoyed the most about being a teacher or working with students?
Having that opportunity to work with them one-on-one and in a group, and getting to know them, getting to know what the students are all about, getting to know what their likes and dislikes are beyond just the content area. So actually building a relationship with the students. So that part of it is wonderful. It's also very wonderful when they finally get a concept and they're excited about it too. So that's always a wonderful thing for a teacher to experience.
So you're now the Technology Integration Specialist here at Spring Mills High School.
Mm-hmm.
But for the past 9 years you were at Spring Mills Middle, very, very close by, teaching social studies.
Mm-hmm.
And we hear a lot about in the news and in education about the importance of math instruction and reading instruction. So where does social studies play a role in the big scheme of things? Why is social studies instruction important to include or important to promote as well?
Okay, social studies to me is important for a lot of reasons. If you look at Common Core, you can talk about social studies in relationship to language, because social studies is a lot of language skills too. But I think the thing about social studies that we need to remember is that we also need to think about building good citizens. And a lot of the effort that goes into the social studies content is talking with students about being a good citizen, talking about civics, talking about government, talking about politics, all those things. So it's important for a student to be a well-rounded global citizen, and social studies is a major part of that because they do need to have those social studies citizenship skills.
So looking back on your time in the classroom, how many years have you been in education?
23.
What are some of the activities or the things you've done with your students that they and you have enjoyed the most?
I think activities where they have hands-on portions to it. It can be utilizing technology, but it doesn't have to be. I think also that they really enjoy working together in collaborative groups or in pairs, and that's another skill that we're really looking at in global education and creating global citizens, because that's what businesses are looking for, people that can work together to problem solve. And our students really enjoy those activities where they work together to find a solution to a problem or to create a media presentation or whatever it happens to be. So I think those activities have always been really high on my list, something that actually pulls them in and makes them active because they learn better when they're active. I think the other thing too is we have to really think about lessons that students find to be real and a part of what their life is. So if we can show them how this is is involved to them, or design the lessons so that it's something that interests them. I think those kind of lessons are the more active and more longer lasting lessons too.
As a technology integration specialist of this high school that's going to serve a lot of students in our area, how is the role of technology changing how students learn in the classroom and also outside of the classroom when they go home?
I think the thing that is amazing about technology and the changes that we're seeing is that our students are becoming problem solvers. They're learning how to utilize technology to find answers. They're learning how to use technology to find solutions to those problems. So I think technology is changing the way we as educators design our lessons, but I also think it's changing the way students learn. We look also at the quick pace of information for them. You know, for me, I had a dial-up Princess phone, so that's a huge change to what the kids can do today. They can sit in the cafeteria with their phone and look up anything that they want to look up. So technology has made a difference in that too. Our goal now is not always to memorize, although we do still need to memorize, but I think our goal now is to teach them how to utilize technology to solve problems.
So you've been involved in many service-related activities with your students through the years. Tell me about some of those things that you've done with the students at Spring Mills Middle and will continue here probably with Spring Mills High School.
Okay. There's a couple things that are near and dear to me. One of the things that I did at Spring Mills Middle was start the recycling program. And we made it a win-win situation. And the reason why I say that is because we recycled the products at the school so that they weren't being wasted. But we also tied into one of the local organizations. And then they in turn took what we recycled and could make a little bit of a profit off of it. So it was helping us and it was also helping our community, which was great. The other community service project that is really near and dear to me is something called Honor Drive. And in Honor Drive, what our students do, what happened is my brother came home one day and was telling me about how he had met some people in an organization called Honor Flight. He was at the airport, they asked him to go to the airport, and at one of the gates, they were bringing in all these World War II veterans, and they had asked people to come and applaud for them and whatnot. So he was telling me about this, and I thought, well, if they can fly them in, certainly being an hour and a half away, we can drive them in. So what we do is the students work together all year long, and we have fundraisers, and we raise the funds. It usually costs us about $5,000, and we take a group of veterans into DC for the day. We go to all the major memorials. One year we went to the Capitol. One year we went to Arlington. This year we're thinking about going to Mount Vernon. But the wonderful thing about it is those students get to actually sit and interact with those veterans one-to-one, face-to-face. And it's a wonderful experience for the students, but it's also wonderful for those veterans. They are so appreciative, and they really enjoy the fact that, you know, there are students out there that care about them. So it's a great opportunity for everybody, and I really enjoy it a lot.
That's wonderful. And that's something that you'll continue here at Spring Mills High School?
Yes.
Students?
Yes. We already have it up and running, actually, the Honor Drive Club, because it takes us a while to raise the funds. And it ties in beautifully with our Veterans Day program that we're having next week too, where we have all those gentlemen and all the veterans of our students and current military personnel. They come to the program and then we have lunch. So we're excited about that.
So what's one misconception about education that the public may have that you wish that you could clear up for those so they could truly understand what it's like to be a teacher?
I think everybody needs to understand just how passionate most teachers are. If you sit down and talk with a teacher, they really love what they do. And they love the interaction with the students, they love getting to know the students, they love being able to help the students. And I think people have to understand that we do it because we enjoy what we do. I don't know of anybody that I can think of off the top of my head that doesn't come to school ready to roll every morning. I love getting up, I love coming here because I like interacting with the students. And I think the public needs to know that for the most part, we all are that way, and we really have a passion for what we do.
That's all for this edition of Be the Difference West Virginia. Join me next time as we learn more about the teachers here in wonderful Berkeley County. Until then, I'm Erin Spinagle, reminding you to be different, but more importantly, be the difference. I'll see you soon.